In pretty much every city right now, there's this quiet battle going on. On one side, you've got the perfectly staged, viral food video that's just engineered for likes. And on the other, you have that unforgettable, genuinely delicious meal. So today, we're going to dig into this conflict between what's built for your phone and what's actually built for your taste buds.
I mean, it's the question we're all thinking, right? As we're scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, seeing these endless cheese pulls and flaming cocktails, you see the crazy long lines, you see the celebrities, but you can't help but wonder, is the food behind all that hype actually any good?
So, to really wrap your head around this, you gotta understand that we're kind of living in two different dining worlds at the same time. On one side, there's what we can call the algorithmic reality. This is a world driven entirely by what looks good on camera, the visuals, the exclusivity, the stunts. But then there's the culinary reality, which is all about what actually matters when you sit down to eat. Flavor, real hospitality, and knowing the food will be great every single time.
All right, so first up, let's dive into the places where the hype is really the main course on the menu. Welcome to the Overrated Report.
Okay, Exhibit A, Bad Roman in New York City. This place isn't just Instagrammable, it was literally, and I mean literally, designed to be filmed in that 9:16 vertical format of a phone screen. Every single dish, every corner of the restaurant, it's all optimized for a social media post first and a dining experience, well, second.
And, well, when you focus that much on the looks, something's gotta give, right? The professional consensus on this place is crystal clear. It's an experience that puts looks way, way ahead of taste. You get these really photogenic dishes that, according to the people who know, often end up being kind of bland or dry or just not that great.
So the final verdict here? Yeah, it's significantly overrated. This is the classic definition of style over substance. If you absolutely need that picture for your feed, hey, go for it. But if you're actually looking for a fantastic meal, you probably want to look somewhere else.
Next up, let's talk about Sexy Fish. This isn't really just a restaurant, it's a full-blown event. I mean, we are talking millions of dollars in art on the walls, resident DJs spinning tracks, and an atmosphere that feels way more like an exclusive underwater nightclub than a place you go to eat.
And look, it's not just the critics. Regular people are feeling this too. This quote from a user just hits the nail on the head. The feeling is that the food is almost an afterthought to the party. The vibe is the product, and the sushi, well, that's just the price of admission.
So, our verdict? It's a clear overrated. This place is the perfect example of the difference between a spot for flexing, for showing off, and a place for feasting. And Sexy Fish is definitely squarely in that first category.
Okay, but here's where it gets a little more complicated. Not all hype is created equal. Let's take Carbone. This is a much more nuanced story. The issue here isn't that the food is bad. In fact, pretty much everyone agrees it's actually really good. The problem is the hype has gotten so big, it's completely broken the whole idea of value.
So let's break this down. The food? It's solid, delicious, classic red sauce Italian. You can't really complain there. But the experience? It's become almost impossible to get into unless you know somebody or have serious connections. And this has created what you could call a clout premium, where you're paying an insane price and jumping through hoops for a plate of spicy rigatoni that, while delicious, you could probably get somewhere else. The hype has just totally outgrown the reality. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problem. What's the solution? What's the alternative to all this hype? Let's flip the script and talk about the critic's choice. These are the places where the food is just so good it doesn't need a viral gimmick.
Let's start with a real powerhouse, Sema, in New York City. This isn't about some fusion dish made to look pretty in a picture. This is bold, complex, unapologetic Southern Indian food that actually challenges your palate in the best way. And it's not just me saying that. The New York Times ranked it #1. The reservation here is tough to get because the food is truly exceptional, not because they're just manufacturing hype.
And this brings us to what might be the ultimate authenticity check. Take a place like the French House in London. No neon signs, no ring lights, you can barely even get a phone signal in there. And this quote just says it all. When a restaurant can stay packed for decades based purely on word of mouth, you know the food is the real deal.
And, this idea of quiet excellence is everywhere if you just know what to look for. You see it in the warm, family-run hospitality at a place like Miga in London, or at Casa Enrique in Queens, which earned a Michelin star for perfect tacos, no theatrics needed. The key signs are almost always flavor over flash, and a dining room that's full of a diverse mix of locals, not just tourists chasing the latest trend. But then,
Just in the last couple of years, something, or rather someone, came along and just completely flipped the script on this whole ecosystem. It's not a famous critic or a big magazine. It's a creator from TikTok, and it's called the Keith Lee effect.
So Keith Lee came up with this revolutionary idea, the People's Audit. His whole method is designed to answer one single, simple question. Is the food itself actually good? And to do that, he strips away all the other stuff that hype restaurants rely on. You know, the fancy decor, the super attentive service, the exclusive vibe. He just judges the food, and only the food.
And his method is just brilliantly simple. Step 1, get the food to go. Step 2, eat it in the car, a totally neutral environment. And step 3, give a brutally honest verdict based only on how it tastes. It's a process that has exposed so many restaurants that were basically using a great vibe to hide pretty mediocre food.
So here's the big takeaway for you, a major warning sign. If a super viral restaurant doesn't offer takeout, or they have a really limited takeout menu, you have to ask yourself, why? They might just be worried that their food can't stand on its own without the million-dollar decor and the DJ to distract you.
All right, now it's time to put all of this into practice. Let's arm you with your very own authenticity toolkit so you can beat the hype and find amazing food every single time.
Here it is, your simple 3-step check before you book a table anywhere. First, when you watch the videos, check the phone versus fork ratio. Are more people filming than eating? Second, learn to spot the red flags on the menu itself. And third, run the simple but incredibly effective Tuesday test. Think about it. A truly great local spot will be busy on a Tuesday night. A hype spot is often a ghost town.
So what are these red flags you should be looking for? Well, first, unnecessary gold leaf. It adds zero flavor, it's just for show. Second, constant tableside stunts with fire or giant cheese wheels. One is theater, sure, but if every dish has a gimmick, that's a problem. Third, a menu that's all over the place. Sushi, burgers, and pasta, that's a sign of zero focus. And a big one for videos, watch for that quick jump cut right after someone takes their first bite. It often means their real reaction wasn't as amazing as they want you to think it was. So all of this leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Now that you're armed with all this knowledge, the next time you're deciding where to eat, what's it going to be? Are you going to choose the place that guarantees the perfect photo or the one that promises an unforgettable flavor? The choice is yours.